Last time, we looked at the impact of price restrictions depended upon the price elasticity of demand. And we looked at a price floor where we prevented the price from decreasing, how then the price elasticity of demand would impact the result in the marketplace. But we see a similar impact if we, say, take a determinant of demand. That also depends on the price elasticity of demand. If we take a look at, say, a determinant, remember a determinant is merely something other than price that will impact the demand curve. And so if we looked at, say, a determinant like income, right? So remember an increase in income here would actually cause the demand curve to shift to the right. Well, if we have a supply curve, right, what we can see then is that that impact of the determinant is really clear. Clearly, if the elasticity sort of that's related to this, and remember that's the income elasticity, that's the percentage change in quantity that results from a percentage change in income. And so it's pretty clear here that, if this number's bigger, then we're going to get a bigger result from the same change in income, because that elasticity is really just measuring the shift. So it's, I think, really clear there. But what if instead we're not talking about, say, the elasticity that's related to the determinant itself? What if instead we come back to that price elasticity of demand? Remember, that's the percentage change in quantity all over the percentage change in price. Right? Now we're not really talking about a shift in the demand curve anymore. What we're really talking about is a change in the price elasticity of demand. We're talking about the slope of this demand curve. Well, how is it then that that slope is going to impact the change in a determinant? Well, what are those determinants? Remember, those are things like preferences or income. It could also be consumer expectations or prices of related goods. All of these things that would do what? That would change the consumer's demand. But what? Even if the price remained constant. And so that's very similar to basically saying, look, we have some market price here. That's the equilibrium price. We have an equilibrium quantity that results from that. Right? That the determinant says this quantity here, right, that new quantity would change if, say, consumers preferred this product more than they did before. Well, how is this change then related to the price elasticity of demand? We have to remember one thing, that a demand curve that's more inelastic, and so last time we talked about that as, say, an elasticity of demand of 0.5, right, that's going to be what? Steeper than a demand curve that's elastic, like, say, something that's 2. Well, come back over here and think about what would this demand curve after the change look like if demand was, say, more inelastic. Right? That now we see that the shift in the demand curve actually doesn't change, right? We have this same shift from kind of that original quantity to the new quantity if the price stays the same. But we know as the demand curve shifts that the market equilibrium is going to change as a result of that. And we can see that change in the equilibrium going from here to here with the demand curve that's relatively elastic. And it's going to shift from the market equilibrium to here for the demand curve that's relatively inelastic. And what we'll then see is that those equilibrium points are actually different. So these 2 points here, this is the quantity when demand is relatively elastic, and this is the price when it's relatively elastic. And then over here, we have this price change when it's relatively inelastic. And so you'll see that this bigger change in price then is going to do what? If demand is downward sloping, it's going to cause then some consumers to sort of lower the quantity, right? They're going to move sort of here. But if demand is more elastic, remember, what does that tell us? It tells us a price increase comes with a bigger change in quantity, and so that drop in quantity is a little bit bigger.